that will really actively look at the work that we're doing, figure out ways that we can have a bigger impact, and also guide the project in many ways. Okay, so one of the challenges of this project, which is really quite new to me, but not new to anyone who does this kind of field work, is the necessity of being able to access our study sites. So those aquifers are very large areas. We will focus in on particular areas that we're most interested in. But again, our ability to collect data and quality data depends on our ability to access either wells or some of the areas to do the geophysical imaging. Now that requires building relationships with landowners, with agency partners and others, because really, if we can't get access, we can't do our work. And in terms of asking someone, can we come on your land to do some measurements, we have to make sure that they understand that what we're doing is non-invasive. We also have to make sure that they are interested in what we're doing and that this will be a benefit to them. Because what we're going to be asking folks is, can we instrument your well? Can we put one of these sensors in your well and provide you with a readout, a real-time readout of those different parameters that we're measuring? Or can we do some surveys on your land to be able to try to resolve some of these geological structures? So getting access, I believe, building these relationships and these this community acceptance of our project is really critical to us being able to accomplish our goals. So what we really want to do with this is, and actually these conversations started almost over a year ago, but what a number of us are doing, I am, Nicole, Greg Chun, and others, Kim's been involved in many of these conversations, is really sitting down with folks and saying, here's our project, here's what our goals are, how does this fit with things that you're working on? Okay. I want to reinforce this just a little bit more, our communication strategy. I'm sure it's not a surprise to anyone in the room that focusing on water issues is a contentious issue in Hawaii. Also, and getting access and permits and all that to be able to access the land and wells that we're interested in can be a challenge and can essentially insert very long delays in a particular project. And remember, we only have 5 years to do this, so we would like to be able to try to avoid any missteps along the way. So what we're trying to do is to put in place a process, and that process involves meeting with the landowners or the stakeholders, explaining our project to them, gaining trust, gaining permission, and then being able to do our work. But at the same time, what do they get out of it? We would like to be able to make the products of our models, the data, and other things available if that would be of interest and help to them. We have some challenges. I really didn't touch on this most because there are other members of the audience that are far more expert in this area than me. One of our challenges is, what is our role? How do we define and manage our role, especially if we're going to be working in areas that are controversial? So certainly the Pearl Harbor, Red Hill area, that's one of our study areas. We're very interested in contributing to that in some way, being able to provide data or models that will help to resolve some of those issues. However, we want to be, UH wants to be basically respected as, we're doing scientific work, doing scientific investigations, and producing data and models. We're not on one side or another side. But how do we maintain that role? I think that will be a challenge for us going forward. Same thing in the Keho Aquifer. That's also there's a lot of discussion and contentiousness around those decisions. And I think our challenge is to figure out how can we be part of that process, but also maintain our role as what I might call an honest broker of information. In some cases, we have dual relationships because many of our team members have long-standing relationships with folks in the agencies and long-standing collaborations. So how do we actually state our role in these different arenas. One of the things we're trying very hard to do is to, this may sound like overkill, but I really don't think it is to, and this is something that Greg Chun has explained to us, the importance of one voice, the importance that the whole team is really talking about the project in the same way, that we all have the same goals, we all have the same values, and that when I go to a meeting, or Nicole goes to a meeting, or Kim goes to a meeting, and we say we're part of the Ike Wai project, folks understand what our goals are and why we're there. That's not always totally easy to do, but that's one thing that we're very much working on. And one of the things that Greg has impressed upon me several times is sometimes the messenger is more important than the message. So for some of us who have long-standing relationships and trust relationships in the community, walking into the room basically gives you the cachet to be there. For someone like me who's very new to the field, not really known by anyone, I probably couldn't get a meeting with someone that I wanted to talk to. So that's another challenge that we have. I think everyone on the team, we had a really good strategic planning meeting. Everyone is on board with this and excited about it. And I think we will do our best to communicate our message in the most clear way as possible. Just take a moment to just share with you a couple of the questions that I've gotten already from stakeholder groups and community groups. The first question is a hard one to answer too. The first question is, what process did you use to choose your study areas? When we visited with OHA recently and the Department of Hawaiian Homelands, they were very interested in our project, but they wanted to know, why did you pick Pearl Harbor and why did you pick Keaho Aquifer? Why didn't you pick Molokai? Because that's where there's a lot of really important water issues going on. I've also had calls from folks saying, why didn't you pick Maui? So that's a question that we have to be prepared to answer. And that's something that folks will want to know. What was your process? How did you decide? How did you decide where to work? And I think the real question is, where did you decide to invest your resources? In which questions? I'm going to finish up now and just with those thoughts. Again, I think one of our biggest opportunities, and also I think a challenge, is how we end up defining our role at the university in terms of contributing to this really important project. Can we really be an honest broker of information that is also part of a statewide effort where there's lots of folks involved, to achieve water security through, if possible, data-driven decision-making? I mean, I think that's kind of a lofty goal. I think we have a chance of doing a really good job of that. But how do we convince those folks in the community that this is our role and this is what we have to provide to the project? Just a very short thing on some of the risks that we've identified in our strategic planning meeting. First of all, I already said that access to study sites. Access to quality data. A lot of the techniques that we're going to try are difficult, and we may have sometimes good quality data and not such good quality data. So that will be a challenge as well. Recruiting new faculty, postdoc grads, and undergrads. I think that's a little bit of a challenge, not too much, but really our project will succeed more or less depending on who we're able to recruit to join the faculty here at Manoa and also at Hilo, because they will become super important parts of the team. Integrating efforts across groups and campuses. This is always a challenge, and what we're hoping to do is we're hoping to use our technology, we're hoping to use the Cyber Canoe to keep connected on a regular basis, but also we will have plenty of opportunities for the groups to get together for meetings and scientific discussions, but staying connected to our colleagues at Hilo is always a challenge, despite the fact that it's just a very short plane ride away. And again, coming back to maintaining our community partnerships. I want to end now, just and hopefully we'll have some time for questions. This is a really cool picture that I think is very evocative of the role of water and the importance of water. This was in the back pages of the White Freshwater Initiative. It's a painting by Paul Weissman. And what it really I think what it shows, it illustrates in a really nice way, is the impact of water throughout the community. How many different activities it touches, how it kind of weaves back and forth in these different activities, and ultimately how much really depends on water. What I don't know, and this is kind of an interesting thing, is the left side of the diagram, whether that's supposed to actually represent the subsurface geological structures. Probably not, but that's kind of what those pictures look like. But I just wanted to leave folks with this, just to reinforce really how important this undertaking is and what opportunity we have, I think, at UH to make a big difference in this field. Saying that, it's going to take more than just us here at UH. It's going to take a real partnership with our colleagues in the agencies and in the communities to be successful. Thank you for your attention. I want to just, I know that I've glossed over a lot of things at a very high level. I hope that everyone will plan to attend our follow-on seminars as well. And I'm happy to take questions on any of this.
I was just curious, we were talking about data gaps and needs of stakeholder groups. Was there any thought given to the protection efforts that were into ownership protection, gun scene, angular removal, and how that impacts water recharge?
Wow, I just missed the last whole part of your question. Can you say that again?
Sure. Looking at this graphic here at the very top, you're looking at what could probably be in Hawaii, the protection efforts going on to protect our alpha and native forests. And I was wondering if any of that, in terms of data gaps and what's needed to assess how our native forest is contributing to water recharge, if any of that was taken into consideration or will be looked at.
I'm going to ask Kim to answer that.
That's a great question. And actually, we're not going to be doing the science to kind of look at the difference between disturbed forests and native forests, but we will be looking at different land use scenarios in both study sites and how that will influence the water budget. So how recharge will be influenced by the differences. So